Hey, what's up, guys? Today, I wanted to talk about what bloating is. Now, in order for us to understand bloating and the different causes, we need to understand the whole digestion system. It starts from the mouth, down the esophagus, into the stomach, then into the small intestine, the large intestine, the rectum, and out. Okay, so now that we know that, bloating is basically the buildup of gas in the stomach and the intestines. Now, what type of gases are these? Well, the main ones are oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, carbon dioxide, and methane. Oxygen and nitrogen are pretty much taken in by swallowing the outside air. And for all my beer drinkers, carbon dioxide. Now, some causes. There's many different causes, and I want to reiterate that if you're experiencing any discomfort, especially for a prolonged period of time, please go see your doctor. I'm just sharing some basic information based off of the history and research that I've done in the past. And so basically these causes, they can range from anything from as simple as swallowing air to a crazy mix of medical issues and hormones and fermentations and the whole nine yards. But there's four main ones that I want to cover in this video. Number one, the swallowing of air. Now, this is common when you're chewing gum or people that are sucking on candies, in the office, or maybe eating too fast, not thinking about it, not mindfully eating. Or if we're drinking carbonated drinks and we're gulping too fast and we're not being cognizant of our intake, and then the next thing you know, in like 10, 15 minutes, we're in discomfort. I hate having that feeling. It prevents us from moving about the day. Number two, constipation. This is a big one and it's getting more complex. Constipation challenges things because we don't really know if bloating is purely because of the constipation or potentially another factor. The reason why it gets complex is because one of the common theories of relieving constipation is increasing your fiber. And that's kind of what we've been taught. But fiber can actually have a negative effect on the bloating, and that's why it becomes challenging. There's different things that happen in different parts of the body, so that's why having to go see your doctor is very important. But what I've seen done in the past with my clients is that they'll attack the constipation first without the fiber, so it doesn't complicate things, then they'll reintroduce fiber back into their diet, and that helps overall with the bloating, or they can figure out if that helps with the bloating. Number three, an imbalance in the gut microbiome. Now, we always hear about this gut health, these prebiotics, probiotics, midbiotics, postbiotics, all the biotics. But how does it really produce gas? Well, one, if there's any imbalance whatsoever, that'll cause the body to process things differently. And that may cause the body to produce gas because it's just not in chemical balance. But even worse, if there's a significant imbalance leaning more towards the bad gut bacteria, this can lead to leaky gut, where the bad bacteria basically leaks out of our digestive system and into the bloodstream. And then we're talking about a whole other set of problems. And how a lot of this happens really is kind of when we drink a lot of alcohol. And we'll talk about that later. And lastly, food choices. We all have our different preferences, what works best for us, what we've done in the past, what has and what hasn't worked. And I would say this time should be no different. If you know certain foods produce additional gas for you, limit it or be mindful of how often you can have it without getting those negative effects, that discomfort. The only way we can find out what specifically reacts with us is through trial and error. All right, now let's go through the symptoms of bloating because they can vary from person to person, but they typically include visible abdominal distension where the belly looks abnormally swollen or enlarged, and it's normally accompanied by a persistent feeling of fullness or tightness in the area, right? And sometimes you didn't even eat, right? This experience can be very just mild into something where, you're having to find a different position to just sit down or lay down, right? And it's often coupled with increased gas production. This leads to frequent belching or flatulence. And what is flatulence? Flatulence, basically farting. And so additionally, changes in our bowel habits such as constipation or diarrhea may also occur. And that's why it's also highlighting the complex nature of these digestive issues associated with bloating. It's very, very complex, and that's why I always recommend to go see your doctor, trial and error. Now we want to go about treatment. One of the effective approaches for managing bloating, it begins with dietary modifications, where you're just adjusting your diet to reduce gas-producing foods, carbonated beverage, and some of the foods that you already know that aren't good for you. Additionally, there's also some over-the-counter medications that somewhat help for short term. However, go talk to your doctor to see what's going to be beneficial for the long term. You can incorporate probiotics and other type of probiotic-rich foods that can supplement your gut bacteria and help you improve your digestion, and it makes your lifestyle changes easier, right? So you're not going through a huge substantial change. It's just start really slow. Avoid chewing gum, chew your food slower. Manage your stress so that during your meals you're not just swallowing your food down and taking in all this air. Everything contributes to your overall digestive health. And despite all of this, if you're still having discomfort, again, go seek your medical evaluation and figure out what's going to be the underlying issue. Now, I want to go over some interesting facts regarding bloating, just kind of a little spice on it. So you know how we always hear about the beer belly? Well, if you really think about it, when it comes to somebody and they're consuming a large amount of beer, which contains CO2, that's now in your system. And as it builds in your digestive system over periods of time of you always drinking, your abdominal walls eventually, over time, they relax and they get distended. And that's why it's such an interesting topic, whether you're trying to get all the bubbly out of your beer before drinking it, right? Some people say, hey, no, you just open up the can, you drink straight, and some people pour it out and they try to get all the fuzz out. Interesting. Number two is the topic of artificial sweeteners. Now, I remember growing up, and this started to become a thing, right? Me personally, I didn't grow up drinking coffee, so I didn't really have the packets, but I just preferred things like ice cream. But yeah, so these artificial sweeteners, they don't contain calories, which is due to the fact that the body can't absorb it. It doesn't absorb it as you digest it. However, when you do digest it, it gets in contact with your gut, and it could mess up the whole microbiome system, the whole digestive tract. And sometimes that's not a good thing. But yeah, everybody has their own different ways. Everybody has their tolerance levels. Everybody knows what they want to take in and how it'll affect them as they go through their time of trial and error. So I hope all this information was beneficial. Let us know if you have any questions. Have a great day.